What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mobile video. So real quick, I do have good news. Well, I guess in your way. I did quit my job. It was kind of like unnecessary stress. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen that from one of my live streams. But yeah, I did quit my job, so I'm going to be doing full-time here on YouTube for pretty much the entire summer until school begins. And even then, I'm pretty sure it won't change too much. I'm hoping by then the COVID rules will be lifted and we could finally go to face-to-face classes, because honestly I'm kind of tired of doing all these discussions for my classes. It just takes a very long time. It doesn't get really stressful, it just kind of gets annoying after a while. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to be making a lot more videos. So in today's video, I actually wanted to talk about the test server for Season 4, because I did live stream it earlier and I was playing. I decided to test out some weapons that might have been improved, and honestly, to my surprise, there were quite a few out there that were actually very surprising to me. So I decided to discuss like a lot of different things that I found within the test server, other than just the weapons as well, that were kind of interesting to me. So obviously, let's get to the first part real quick, which is actually the perks. So we do actually have a new perk coming soon. I don't know if it's going to be for Season 4 or for Season 5. It's actually going to be Gung-Ho. So if you guys have been playing Call of Duty for a while on console, there has been a few games that actually have that perk. So basically what it does in short terms, it lets you hip fire while sprinting. I don't even know why I said it like that. And you could basically also reload while you're sprinting as well. So if you need to make a quick getaway, that's the perk for you. And it also might help that there are some attachments that does increase the sprint to fire speed, so maybe that could actually help you out a little bit more while you have this perk. But I'm sure a lot of you guys are still going to be sticking to either toughness or vulture or some other perk like that. So I'm not really sure if this is going to be a game changer, because as of right now we are not actually allowed to test it. So far we're only able to test out the weapons, but there were also some subtle changes within the game that I do like to discuss. And the first one is, of course, the Completionist Camos. So most of them pretty much look the same. There's not really a lot of changes, but there were some adjustments to certain attachments and certain weapons within this game. So I know a lot of people complained about the ASVL Diamond Camo being a little bit like involving just too many diamond studs on it. So they did somewhat improve it. There are some more golden spots on it, but it's not really that much. They didn't really, make the mag gold or anything like that. It's more or less the same, just with a little bit more gold on it, if you get what I mean. They also did some adjustments to some of the extended mags for certain weapons. For example, the LK-24 or the M4. If you do put a 40 round or 50 round extended mag in the current version, usually it becomes diamond studded. It's just pure diamond. Honestly, it doesn't really look that appealing, but in this version, you actually have your mags become full solid gold. So that is something that I've been wanting to have for quite a while, because having those little diamond studs on the mag just did not look very good to me. But I'm glad that they finally addressed it, and I'm happy that's coming to this next season. So now that we've talked about just the minor stuff, there really wasn't other changes than that. I mean, really, the only other changes were something in Battle Royale, but actually we're just going to keep this into like a more multiplayer oriented type of thing, because that's what this whole update is about pretty much. So this game got a massive weapons overhaul. A lot of weapons, including SMGs, have been changed for the better. And some assault rifles did get changed as well as the LMGs. Significantly one of them, which I'll discuss a little bit later. But let's talk about the first category, which is of course the sniper. So of course snipers have been overpowered pretty much since this game has been released. Yeah, like I think it was we suffered like 14 or 16 different seasons with these snipers being extremely overpowered. So yes, they're finally getting nerfed, and they're kind of being overhauled in such a weird way. So the snipers are not going to rely as much on bullet spread rather than just having more idle sway. So the way it works is that the more fast attachments that you have on your sniper rifle, the more it's going to sway. So let's say, for example, if you want to put the short barrel on the Locust, it's going to cost like maybe 25% of your steadiness. So basically, your gun's going to lose focus a lot faster than it ever did. But if you want your sniper rifle to be a little bit more steady, you're going to have to go with the attachments that actually increase the weight of your gun. So if you're looking to get long shots and you're not really a precise person at long range and you're not really good at hard scoping, you're going to have to use like the long range bow or like the granulated grip tape to help you stay more steady for a longer time. So like I said, you lose steadiness a lot quicker if you do have fast attachments, but if you have slower attachments, they're going to be a lot more steadier. That's the way they're going to work. And this also applies to the Marksman Rifles. Which actually brings us to our next point, which is the Marksman Rifles. So the Marksman Rifles did get a slight overhaul as well. It pretty much does the same as the snipers. It does focus more on steadiness rather than bullet spread accuracy. But it's a little different this time around because they do have a little bit more movement speed, not including ADS time and ADS movement speed. But just overall, if you're running with it, it's going to be a little bit faster. And one other thing that I did notice with these, with like the Kilo and the SPR, is that they feel a lot more consistent than they ever did before. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are not really a fan of the SPR 208 because sometimes you feel like you're going to get the one shot, but for some reason you just get a random hit marker no matter what mag you put on. I feel like that problem has been alleviated in some way because whenever I use it, I never get a hit marker anymore. It's pretty insane. Also, of course, obviously the snipers did get their ADS times reduced by quite a bit. I mean, it's very, very noticeable once you start playing the game. I mean, you know, quick scoping someone isn't as easy as it was before, so it's going to take a lot more, I guess. It's going to take a lot more prediction. So if someone's coming at you directly and they already have their gun aiming towards you, you're not going to win the gunfight, period. Unless you have your sights aimed down on them before they do. So yeah, that's pretty much how snipers are going to work now. They're no longer going to like dominate you in close range, which is actually a good thing because I know a lot of players have pretty much had enough with this issue. So yeah, I'm happy that the snipers are getting nerfed in this way. I think the way that they are right now for the beta is basically how the snipers should have been before. So the next category that did get a significant change, well, not really too significant, but it is a change nonetheless, were probably the LMGs. So the LMGs have been one of they've been like pretty much the black sheep of this game for quite a while. I mean, how often do you go on a ranked match or even in a public match to see if someone's using an LMG, right? It never really happens, you know, even with the chopper and everything. That was like the only reliable LMG at the time until it got completely nerfed to the ground and it's not even usable anymore. Well, that pretty much changes within this update. So the UL 736 has had its recoil changes made, and honestly, it's a lot more steady than it ever was before, and I do really like it. The S36 had an improvement with accuracy. It also had improvement with range as well as the RPD. Pretty much all the LMGs have had some sort of buff when it comes to accuracy and range, which is basically how the LMGs should have been in the first place. But one significant change to a certain LMG was the one that surprised me the most. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw me on the stream when I was using it, and that is actually the chopper. So if you were to go on the global version right now and use the chopper, like just the basic version with no heavy handle, you'll notice that the ADS speed for that weapon is atrocious. It's terrible. But in this version, it seems to have been improved dramatically. I mean, you could pretty much use this like an assault rifle or an SMG. That's how fast the ADS speed has improved. So I'm sure at some point the chopper is going to be used regularly. I mean, it is pretty fast. It's just a matter of time before people start discovering and start abusing it. So yeah, but the stuff that we really have to look out for by far over every other change in this game are the SMGs. So the SMGs have been changed the most out of all the weapons. I mean, even the snipers have nothing on what the SMGs have currently. So I've tested out a good majority of them, the ones that have been mainly changed the most. The QQ9 I didn't really test out because I think it's more or less going to be the same. But I did test out the Razorback, I did test out the PDW, the RUS, the Shecom, and even, what do you call that one, the Msmc. So yeah, I've tested out all of those, and I do have to say they have been significantly improved. Maybe some have been improved a little bit too much, but we're gonna have to wait and see once this actually makes it into global. So the first one I want to talk about right off the bat is the Msmc. So the Msmc is one of those weapons I believe got a little bit too good for this update, because I mean the mobility is literally out of this world, even more than the Bison, and that's even when you put the Marksman barrel and the suppressor. Like, it has pretty much the same amount of strafe speed that the Bison has right now currently on global. So imagine putting like no stock and, you know, light barrels and all that stuff on that weapon. That thing's pretty much going to be unstoppable. But of course, the question is, like, how much control can you have, really? So that's probably one of the best things about this weapon so far. If you do manage to put the Marksman and the Rubberized together, this weapon is going to be an absolute monster. So this weapon literally has no recoil if you do have those attachments on, and including the monolithic suppressor being put on that, the range is absolutely ridiculous. So you pretty much have a lot of range, a lot of mobility, as well as a lot of firepower, which is insane for this gun. Another weapon that has been improved by a long shot, and which actually caught like a lot of us by surprise in the stream, was the COD. So the COD was, oh my god, like, I'm still kind of shocked of how powerful this thing actually is now. So it pretty much has more or less the same mobility levels as the Msmc, but I think this one might be a little bit more deadlier depending on what map that you're on. So this weapon did get an overhaul in terms of damage, recoil, and mobility. So like I said, the mobility has been increased by a lot. But in terms of damage, that's where this is where I'm actually kind of concerned, because I feel like there could be a lot of people abusing this later on. So you could now pretty much 3-shot. You could 1-burst people with this weapon, depending on where you hit on the body. So of course, if you hit on the upper body, you could actually end up killing them like extremely easily. Mix that with the extremely fast mobility, and then you could have like a Marksman barrel or the integrated suppressor, including those mags. It's crazy how strong this thing actually is. If you guys have been lucky enough to try out this beta, you would know that this weapon is probably going to be part of the meta for next season. So this is something that you guys have to look out for, because I could see a lot of people abusing this. Other SMGs like the QXR, QQ9, they're more or less the same as they were. The QXR did get a minor range buff, but other than that, it's more or less going to be the same, maybe with a slight increase in mobility. The HG40 has a little bit more damage. The RUS pretty much stayed the same, they never changed it. What else? What other weapons changed? PDW has a little bit more mobility and slightly more range, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. I don't really see it being used for next season. So now let's talk about the assault rifles. So the assault rifles didn't really get as much changes as everything else did. If anything, they only got some range buffs, and other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, the LK24 has more stability, the CAN44 has more stability, the HBR is a little faster than it was before, but it does have a little bit more range. The Man of War's ADS speed was decreased slightly, but the range and the damage have been increased significantly. So, like, this is good. I feel like this is going to be more of a camper's weapon depending on how you build it, because now you're going to be able to 3-tap people from an even longer range, and people could actually use lighter attachments to help them, you know, with their mobility. Also, the FR556 did get a improvement when it comes to its recoil pattern, because when it first released, I know a lot of you guys were complaining because the gun's stability was just terrible unless you use the steady stock. So let me tell you that the base recoil has been improved a little bit. It's not really much of a significant change, but you can notice it. So I think they did this so you won't have to rely too much on steady stock, and you can use a different type of attachment instead. But yeah, that's something to keep note of. But of course, if you want to kill with like longer ranges, you're probably going to still have to stick with the steady stock. So yeah. Other weapons such as the HVK weren't really changed too much. The M4 was buffed significantly also. It could now 4-shot instead of 5-shot all the time, so the headshot multipliers are a lot more deadlier than they were before. So it used to be like, what, 26? It got raised to 31. So now the base damage for the chest is like 26. So now you could 4-shot a lot better than before. I mean, well, even before you were not able to do that. But yeah, it's a change nonetheless. So the last change I do want to talk about, and this actually does not pertain to weapons at all, but this actually has to pertain to aim assist. So while I was playing this game on 120 FPS, there were some slight changes I think made to aim assist. I'm not sure if this is a bug. I'm not sure if this was intentional. But I have noticed that the aim assist has become a lot weaker. So now it kind of feels like if you're playing on console, you know, the aim assist isn't way too strong compared to how it is in COD Mobile usually. So I'm not sure if this is something that we're going to have to get used to, or this is just simply a bug. Because as of right now, if you do play on global, you can latch onto people easily. But on mobile, like on the public beta test, it's a lot more... It's a lot more loose, so you're going to have to be a lot more precise than you were before. But anyways, those are pretty much the major changes that I was able to find within this test server. I'm sure maybe there's other weapons that have been changed, but like I kind of ran out of XP cards, so I don't really have the time to, you know, just go through all of them like thoroughly. So yeah, those were the weapons that were changed the most. I mean, snipers have been nerfed to oblivion. Now they're the way that they should, including Marksman Rifles. Assault Rifles did get their ranged buffs a little bit. I mean, it's not really significant, but yeah, it's a change nonetheless. SMGs they're definitely gonna rule the next season until like maybe ARs get some sort of a speed buff, because that's one of the biggest problems with ARs. They don't really have a lot of speed still. And knowing that the SMGs are going to be like increased with like mobility and all that stuff, it's going to be a completely different ball game next season. So we're going to have to just wait and see what happens. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for some more COD Mobile content. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.